Spring Core. And which topics you are going to cover?
Yes, Ketan, I'm discussing all that thing.
Continue.
So we will go through all basic Spring concepts like what is Spring, IOC, dependency injections, then the basic annotations that we are using, and what is the life cycle of Spring and how it is working. All that things we will go through. So first we'll understand what is this Spring. So it is one framework, or you can say dependency injection framework or IOC framework, anything you can call it, which will help you to develop your Java application, the coupled Java application, you can say, and the enterprise application you can develop with the help of Spring. So this is basic introduction of Spring. It was developed in 2003 by Rod Johnson. So that is what Spring is. Now it have main component like Spring IOC and dependency injection. So what IOC means, inversion of control. What used to happen earlier, like before Spring, if we are developing normal Java application, we create object with the help of new keyword. So instead of doing that, the right of doing, creating object is taken from user and it is given to the Spring container. So that is nothing but inversion of control. The control it has taken from you and given it to the Spring container. That is nothing but inversion of control. Also, IOC container is there which will help you to create your object, then hold that object into the memory, inject them into another object, like we are creating bin, injecting into another bin. So that all thing is done by IOC container. So what input we have to provide to IOC is the two things. One is POJO classes or bin, whatever you can call it, and XML configuration. That is configuration metadata, you can say, and you will get the output. Also, you have to give there are two ways how you can implement IOC. One is bin factory, another is application context. Most probably we use application context because it is, we can say, the child class of bin factory. It has some more features also. This is some basic difference of Spring IO, sorry, application context and bin factory. Uh, Also, there is one more difference, that is in bin factory. What if we use bin factory? The classes that are created or the bin that are there, that inject as per requirements, means it is lazy loading, you can say. And if you are using application context, the classes or the bins that we have created, that will load eagerly. So that is main difference between bin factory and application context. Also, we are most probably using application context. So it is an interface. So we need some classes to extend that. So we have different classes here. I have just mentioned one class, that is class path XML application context. But we have other classes also, that is annotation config application context and file system XML application context. So we will use class path XML application context and annotation config application context. So this is the difference of IOC,
Okay,
how we implement IOC.
Wait. Can you just go to the first slide, second slide, please? Okay. So basically, guys, please try to understand the situation. When I talk about IOC, right? Basically, my basic term is inversion of control, right? In a very simple word, suppose if I require to explain you what is inversion of control concept is like what you can say, key previously developer was like having a more control on how the program is going to be get executed, because developer was creating the object and developer was actually giving a call to the methods, right? So he is responsible for the creation object and creation of object, and now he is responsible for execution of the things also, right? So now what is going to happen means, actually this is happening somewhere from advanced Java, from servlet JSP itself, that the container concepts comes into the picture, right? And with the container concept comes into the picture, what is going to happen, that you are not required to create object, right? But the container will create object for you, Right? So now my Spring container is responsible for the creation of the object. He is going to manage the life cycle for my object or beans. Right? So that's why it is inversion of control. Means instead of developer, now the container is going to manage the things for me. Right? So that is inversion of control, and my Spring container going to do that particular thing. Spring containers does that particular thing. That's why those containers are known as Spring containers or Spring IOC containers. Clear, everyone?
Yes, Mansi.
Mansi, yeah, Mansi, one doubt I
Yes.
have.
Who is speaking?
Suhas.
Yes, Suhas.
Yeah, actually, yeah, Spring means IOC is responsible to create object, right? Behalf of us.
Hmm.
Right now, we are not
Hmm.
creating that
Hmm.
objects
Hmm. Hmm.
manually.
Hmm.
So what if we create that objects manually? Still, we have that functionality with that Spring IOC. But what if we manually create that objects?
Then in that particular scenario, you are responsible for the execution of that particular object.
Means
I think
still
you can create
destruction.
object, but it will be tightly coupled. Means suppose in future you want to change something, you will have to do more code change. So if you are not doing, means you are not creating object and calling external using XML, so you just have to change the XML file. So that change you will have to do extra, I think.
No, wait a minute, Janavi. What you're trying to say is, suppose if I'm creating an object, if the container is creating an object, and if anything is going to be get changed, then what happened? Means I didn't get your point, what you have explained.
Like suppose see, I have now I don't have exactly the example, but I can tell you one. Suppose you have a class, employee class, and you have um, address class or consider you have payment method. One is online payment and offline payment. If you give it, if you create the object of online payment, and in future you want to change it to the offline payment, you have to do code changes, code change same. If you are creating interface and you call
No, but
it by interface.
No, my
wait,
question was
Janhavi.
different.
Question is different.
Okay.
You are directly connecting the inversion of control with the loose coupling. First of all,
Hmm.
it is not related to loose coupling. That is the point. That's why actually I step in. Okay, loose coupling usage of interface is one of the way which is recommended. But tomorrow, if I'm not creating the interface and if I'm creating a simple classes also, right, that will also work for me now. My container will create the instance for them also. Correct? So no need of creation of interface, to be very honest. I can have a simple employee class, and if I'm having an entry of employee in Bean, or if I'm adding the annotation at the rate component, that will also work now.
Yeah,
Got
that
it?
will also. I was just giving example.
Okay. So actually his context is different, Jannavi. Okay. His context is little bit different. You are explaining it from a practical point of view. That you are saying, okay, I'm creating an interface, and that interface is implemented by two classes. One is online payment and another is offline payment. Correct, Jannavi?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You are explaining from that context, right? And if one of the class is going to be get removed permanently, right, then obviously if I'm creating the instance, then I require to make a change. In that context, are you trying to say?
Yes.
That is also fine, but actually his question is different. He's not going in the practical way, he's going into the theory way. Okay. So Saurabh, can you just please repeat the question?
Suhas, the statements. Actually, my
Yes,
question is
Suhas.
what? Yeah, my question is like means Spring IOC is responsible to create object and manage the life cycle of that bean, right? Right. So, but my question is like still IOC is there, and if we create manually object of any particular class for our bean, for example, we have employee bean, okay, and if I create employee is equal to new employee, right? That we have creating, that we are creating manually, right? So what in that case?
Then कुछ नहीं,
still-
that object is supposed to be get managed by you. Container will not manage that object for you. Simple.
Okay, means
आपने
we
बनाया
need to
है,
do.
आप संभालो.
Okay, ठीक है.
Simple
One
logic.
example, Mansi, actually when we creating an object with the new keyword, let's say I have an service. In service, I create an object of that repository. Employee service is there, and I am creating an object of employee repository annotated with @AutoWired. Then
No,
if
no,
I am
no,
creating,
wait. You are creating a object with new keyword in the code.
no, actually I am creating an object of employee service with new keyword. Okay.
हाँ.
But in employee service, I create an another object with object of employee repository with the AutoWired. Okay. But when we creating an object of employee service with new keyword, then that AutoWired will not work in that case. It will give null pointer exception.
Correct.
Because so the answer for Suha's question is that when you creating with the new keyword, then the existing functionality, like the another AutoWired and annotation will not work in that case.
Yeah, but actually he is not asking from that context. Are you getting, guys? Whatever answers you are giving me, those answers are correct, but he is not asking in that much detail. Right?
Yes.
Are you
So
getting,
whatever you are
Surabhi?
saying, that is the later part.
Yeah, that is the later part. He is having a very base question with me, right? कि अगर मैंने employee object बनाया है, मैं खुद बना रहा हूँ employee object, तो क्या होगा? कुछ नहीं. Container will not take care of that object. You are supposed to take care of that particular object. You are responsible for it.
Mansi, also I need to add here, okay? See, whenever container is creating, right, the container will store that object in container, okay, pool, okay. But when you are creating object, that will store in heap memory, not in container. That's the difference of creating a Spring object and creating manually object.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mansi.
Okay. Okay, just give me a second, guys. I just wanted to discuss something. Actually, I'm putting one particular definition which is associated to Spring IOC. Please consider this definition also while giving the answer. Right? So, yes. Janavi, can you just check out this definition? It is in the technical discussion. Yes.
Spring IOC container is the core of Spring Framework. It creates the object, configure and assemble the dependencies, manage their life cycle. The container uses dependency injection to manage the component that make up the application. Yes.
Right, guys, this is also one of the important points. So whenever you are talking about the Spring IOC containers, my Spring IOC containers are actually responsible for the object creation. It is responsible for the configuring and assembling the dependencies, right? And it is going to manage the entire life cycle wala part. And my containers are internally you going to use a dependency injection. Okay.
Yes.
And when I talk about inversion of control, right? So basically, inversion of control, we have already discussed it. Inversion of control means reverse to the normal flow, right? So normal flow is like developer used to create object and developer used to give a call to the methods. Uska reverse, matlab someone else will create an instance for me, right? And I will use that particular instance. Okay. Understanding? And
Yes.
while doing it, obviously loose coupling is always recommended. Okay. Janavi, can you just please go to the slides, please? Yeah. Now the next part, this diagram. is, guys, very important diagram. Obviously, now here with the Spring Framework, I receive the IOC containers. IOC containers are going to responsible for my bean creation. So simple logic, they will create a bean for you, but how they will create it? We require to provide them the instruction. So obviously, I will supply the instructions with the help of XML and annotations, guys. Correct? So first I require to have some bin configuration metadata. So that metadata can be get supplied either in the form of XML or it can be get passed in the form of annotations that will be read or that will be get considered by the my Spring IOC container. He will create the beans for me, right? And then those beans I can use. Everyone is clear, I think so, with this particular diagram?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. And obviously, the next part, can you, Jahnavi, please go to slide number 3?
Which one?
Yeah, this one, right. So sorry, slide number 4, my mistake. Okay, now this is also important aspect, guys. For the Spring container implementation on the API level, they have provided me 2 interfaces. So Bean Factory is also an interface and application context is also an interface, right? So basically, if I'm using a Bean Factory over there, then it is going to create a basic container. So basically, Bean Factory is a very basic level ka container, right? Which is a IOC container and which is having a dependency injection implementation, right? So बहुत base level का container है, and as Janvi said very correctly, it is a lazy container. Okay, so unless and until I'm not asking him for the bean, he will not create the bean instance for me. Correct, Janvi?
Yes, yes.
Right. But on the top of that, they have provided me one more container, something called as application context. So basically, application context is having all the features of Bean Factory, plus it contains some additional features. Like in your project, suppose if you wanted to do the internationalization, right? Or if you wanted to use the, what you can say, web applications, right? Then that kind of additional things are the part of my application context, right? So to be very honest, if I wanted to have a J2E kind of application, then I require to go for application context. Am I right, guys?
Yes.
Right. So generally it is recommended that we should use application context, and application context is eager loading, right? Matlab, he will not wait for the client to ask for the bean, right? Once the application is loaded, whatever beans are asked for the whatever beans which are supposed to be get created, he will create those particular beans. Okay, correct, Jahnavi? Am I missing
Yes.
anything?
No, Mansi.
Okay, so guys, I think so you are clear with these base points.
Yes, Mansi. Just add on one thing. Sorry to
Yes.
interrupt. Regarding the, can you go to the third slide, Janvi? Regarding the bin configuration metadata, you have told we are putting it via either XML or the annotation. There is one more type that we can do it via Java configuration as well, right? A Java
Yes.
file configuration. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So there is a 3-way we can have the bin
Yes.
configuration in
Yes.
Spring.
So you are saying Java way configuration means creation of the class which is annotated with the annotation at the red configuration.
Yes, and
Means
which is altogether based on the Java file itself.
yeah, but means to be very honest here once again, unless and until you are not adding at the red configuration, वो work नहीं होगा ना अपने.
Yes, yes.
इसीलिए मैंने सिर्फ 2 वे बताया.
Okay, no worries.
Like
Okay,
this,
क्योंकि
yes,
मुझे
means
एनोटेशन तो यूज करना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो उसका कुछ यूज नहीं है.
Correct.
Correct. But your point is also correct. At certain documentations, they have mentioned these 3 types. Because
Yes.
see, what was the situation? I will tell you. This same question can have another answer. One answer is I can supply the metadata with the help of XML, because previously with Spring 2.5 version, if I'm not mistaken, up to that, the XML was used. After that, somewhere annotations come into the picture. So for some time, the approach was there like I was already having a XML file and annotations was also there. So one more approach come into the picture, that is XML plus annotation. right?
Correct.
Means XML
Yes.
file is also there and I'm using some annotations also. So for some time, actually that what you can say approach also get carry forward. And then the third approach comes into the picture, that is zero XML file approach, where completely annotation and Java code is going to manage the things. Am I
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I think so. This answer is more better. And once again, आपको जो लगता है वो बोलिए. Overall, everything is same. I'm just putting it into a different words. That's it. Got it, guys?
Yeah, I agree, Mansi. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone would like to add anything over here, guys, please? Okay. Jahnavi, I think so we can proceed now.
Okay. Um, okay. So the next is how we will create the instance, the life cycle and dependency injection that we will see. So to create the instance, as you said, Mansi, we can create it with the means by using XML also we can declare the bin there. So this image is just showing same like the XML configuration that we have to do and what parser we are using. So the next is how we can do dependency injections. So there are two ways like setter injection and constructor injection, with the help of what we can achieve dependency injection. So there is a difference also between constructor and setter injection. First, we will see the basic implementation of constructor injection, and then we'll see setter injection. So before that, these are some properties or the tags that we have to use in our XML to declare a bin and use the property file. I have used all these things. I'll show you how we are using that also. So this is the example of constructor dependency injection. So I have just declared one bin of student. Then there is a one more bin of certificate. So every student needs certificate. Like in the basic will first show the XML also for that. Yeah. So see, this is the basic XML. We have to declare a bin, and constructor arg is the tag that you have to use while you are declaring the constructor as a dependency injection. So I have just for the basic example, just consider this is the class certificate I have, and it have just one parameter certificate name. To declare its as an constructor dependency injection, you have to declare constructor argument, and you have to give as a the value also you can provide it in different way. So this is the one way how you can provide value, that is by using tag, value tag. If you don't want, you can use value as an attribute also. So these are the two different ways how you can provide value. So this is the basic how for one class you will provide constructor as an injection. Suppose you are using one class and you are calling the reference of some other class, or you are injecting some other bin. In that case, how will you specify that? We'll see. So here is that example. You will have to use ref attribute for that, and you have to specify the reference of the bin that you are injecting. So here is my bin. I'm injecting this certificate bin in my student class. So I'll use this name as a reference here. Again, that reference also how you can provide is in different way. You can use reference as a tag, or you can use reference as an attribute. So these are two way. Then one more thing, we will run this first. This will be a simple one, and I'll show the ambiguity problem also that occurs. Oh, wow. Okay, fine. We will see that whatever is the problem. It should not give any as such issue, but I'm not sure why it is given.
Ajanavi, can you just show me the code?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
what he's saying.
Student to this
Oh.
this bin have an
Okay,
issue.
error
This
in
bin
creating
has-
student to path resource. Okay. Okay, there is a problem to your constructor. Okay, for the time being, do one thing, just comment out the bean 2. हाँ मतलब student 2 का comment कर दीजिए अभी for the time being. And just try to execute it first.
Okay. So the output is here, and the ambiguity problem that I was saying is how we can resolve. What ambiguity problem is first I'll show you. Suppose
Okay, Janvi, before you proceed, I just wanted to quickly revise some simple points. First of all, when you are creating an XML file in the Spring, right, there is no specific rule that my file should have a XYZ name. Like those who have already worked with the servlet or JSPs or any other frameworks, right? Generally, whatever XML files we require to use, we require to follow some naming pattern or we require to follow some specific names. Correct, guys?
yes.
Right now in the Spring this situation is not there. In the Spring, suppose you, for the Spring container, if I'm supplying the metadata with the help of XML, right, then in that particular context I'm not required to actually what you can say must specify any specific name, right? My XML file name can be anything. This is the point number 1. Second, for the bean creation, I require to use a tag, something called as bean tag, right? So generally with the bean tag, I require to follow certain compulsory attributes. That is, one is a class attribute and second one is the name attribute.
Name
Or
or you can use
use
ID
a ID also.
also. Yeah.
Right, either name या फिर ID. Generally ID is recommended, right? So these are the two compulsory attributes which we require to follow while giving a bean tag, right? So basically whenever the bean tag is created, a simple bean tag is created, internally the instance of that particular Spring Bean will be get created. Everyone is clear with this particular point?
Yes, clear.
Right, simple
Yes.
instance will be get created and internally it will give a call to default constructor. Okay, now after the creation of instance, if you wanted to assign the values, right, then there are two ways. Either you can give a call to setter methods, right, and or you can use the parameterized constructor. Right, so here the example which is discussed by Janvi is talking about the parameterized constructor. So I'm having a parameterized constructor and I want that parameterized constructor should be get used for the initialization of the Java Bean object. Correct, Janvi?
Yes.
So are you clear with the both the variations of the beans which he has shown for the certificate and student?
Yes, Mansi. Just one thing to ask, Apne this side, Mansi.
Yes, Apnil.
What if, as you said, as per the Janvi's code, that we are explicitly getting through the config file of XML, we are explicitly getting called to the parameterized constructor. If in case, if explicitly it is getting called to default, in this case, what would be the certificate value in this case? We are sure about the ID and student, I mean the student ID and student name, the default value will be 0 or null. About the certificate object, what it could be, I'm not sure. Like, so what would
It
be
will
the
be Java certificate, no?
no, the default value, either
Default.
the certificate name could be null in this case, right?
No. In this case, there will be a means. You are talking about the situation where default constructor is getting called, right?
Correct.
So it will be null.
Okay.
It will be null. Or another thing which you can do, actually in your default means non-parameterized constructor, you can assign some value. So that value will be get assigned. मतलब अगर
Okay.
कोड में आपने लिखा है कि सर्टिफिकेट इज इक्वल टू लेट्स से OCGP, right? Then OCGP will be the value because that code is getting executed now.
Okay.
Okay, just do one thing. Jahnavi, can we just have a quick change? Can you just remove the constructor args on line number 16? And can you just create the constructor instance? Sorry, certificate instance. I think so. Certificate instance का code आप कहाँ पे run कर रहे हो?
It is already.
नहीं उसको student के अंदर मत डालो, independently बनाओ. नहीं, wait. Go to the main class, Jannavi. No need to make a change into student. जरूरत नहीं है. Mention certificate C equal to application context. नहीं रुको. Application context dot get bean. And go to Java. Go to your XML file. And just you can ask him ना कि मुझे ये चाहिए करके. Cast it. हाँ, casting कर दीजिए उसका. And just say sys out या फिर toString का कॉल कर दीजिए, कुछ भी कर दीजिए. मतलब we just wanted to print the value. Go on the top. What he is saying.
No, but just on it.
Wait, there is some issue. Show me the error. Error in the creation bean with the name certificate ref. Right click. Right click. Okay. आपने नॉन पैरामीटराइज्ड कंस्ट्रक्टर नहीं डाला है सर्टिफिकेट में. Add the non parameterized constructor.
All args है वहाँ पे. Yes, correct. Bean name add नहीं है.
Yeah, give me.
Null.
Are you able to see that value is null?
Yes.
Right. Now,
Okay.
suppose if you don't want the value should be null. Right, then what you can do, you can write down actually आप physically constructor लिख सकते हो and constructor में value assign कर सकते हो.
Yes, as per the requirement, right?
As per the requirement.
Okay.
So I can have a non-parameterized constructor and inside that I can mention this dot certificate name करके जो कुछ भी certificate name आपको डालना है. That value will be get assigned. Correct?
Okay. Yes.
Jahnavi, continue please.
Just not let me uncomment my code. It is messy. Okay, so how we can declare? I was showing the ways how we can declare. One is with Java, one is with value attribute, one is value tag value attribute. And there is one more way, that is this C namespace also you can use, where whatever parameters are there, you have to specify in this way: C colon, that is C namespace, and the name of parameter. It was giving some errors, so I just commented it. You have to add the schema also, C schema for that. So this is also the one way how you can take the parameters. Then in constructor, by default, the type of parameter is string that we use. If you want to specify type, you can specify with the type attribute, and you can specify then type of data type, whichever you want. So with type also it works, and without type also it will work. So this is with type I have given, and here this is without type, means without mentioning the type tag, type attribute, also it will work. So these are the two different variation how you can declare constructor dependency injection. Also, the one more thing, ambiguity problem that we were discussing. Suppose consider there is one class I have addition, and here I have taken one constructor which will have two attributes, that is both will be of integer type, and there is one more constructor which will have attribute of double type. If I call, if I give any constructor call, or if I call from this, and if I don't mention type, consider this first. If I don't mention type, in this case, what it should pick, like it should pick whatever is first, it will pick. Like here I have declared first integer constructor, so it will take integer as a constructor. We will run it. I'll show you how it will. So see, first it is taking integer constructor first. Suppose I change it, like I put this double above integer, Control X, and I did this. It should pick double. So let's check what it is picking. It is taking double because the thing is we have not mentioned here what type you want. So whatever first it is getting, it will picking that that type first.
Wait,
Now,
wait, Janvi, it's not like that. The thing is like if whatever constructors I have mentioned, that is double and integer is there, na? So integer value also can be the part of double. Hi, Anna.
Yes, but okay.
Core Java concepts na guys.
No, I'm not saying like, but it when integer was first, it was picking integer constructor. I changed this reference, means I put the double first and then integer, it is picking double. So whichever constructor is first, it is taking that.
Okay. Okay. Right, got it. Okay, because he is getting whatever you are saying, because of the very simple reason, because he is just whatever first constructor is coming, he is considering it, because we are
That
not
one, right.
mentioning any index or we are not mentioning any type.
Types, right? That is what.
That is the reason behind it.
Yeah, that is what I was saying.
Yes.
That is what we are discussing. Okay, so if you mention type, though that constructor is anywhere, it will pick that constructor only because we have mentioned the type. So this is the way of resolving your ambiguity. You can resolve it with the type or index, or you can with ordering also you can resolve. Order means the constructor, ordering also you can resolve. So if you are giving specified type, it will take that constructor. So that is the example.
Okay, Janvi, can I correct it? Can I add something?
Yeah.
Basically, when you are using a constructor arg, first point
Mhm.
is that you require to follow the sequence which is mentioned in the constructor, right?
Right.
Sometimes my constructor is having a string, and integer, right? Then this is confusing. Okay, if my parameter list is string, integer, string, this is confusing. Yes or no?
Right.
Right. So in that scenario, there will be an error which you are going to face. And to remove that particular error, either you can use a type attribute or you can use an index attribute in the constructor arg. And if you are not using a type and index, by default, you have to follow the sequence which you have mentioned under the parameterized constructor. Correct, Janvi?
Yes.
And one more point, guys. Actually, in the student object, which has been created by Janvi, actually she implemented the DI, that is nothing but the dependency injection. Correct? So in the student, I'm having another bean, that is certificate bean.
Certain.
Right?
Yes.
And through XML, if I require to implement the DI, then instead of value attribute, I require to use a ref attribute. That is the only change which is going to happen. Correct?
Yes, correct.
Yes, Janvi.
Mansi,
Over to
one
you.
more thing. Can you just show us how that index attribute we need to define it? Like here we have defined the type equals to int, so it will take integer.
So instead of you mention the index.
Yeah, so index and the parameter is also same, right? Equals to int or double, whatever we need it. Okay, you already defined it over there.
Here's
Got
the
it.
example also, and
So instead of type, we need to define the values, right?
sorry.
Over there we are using type attribute. Inside that we are defining the type, whatever the type we have it. And in here index we are defining 1 and 0. So is that a
Yeah, the
value
index
of
of
the
parameters. No, the index of parameters.
Index is
No,
an
no.
order of the
Wait.
parameter.
You mean to say sequence, in which sequence they have arranged it, right?
Yes.
And
Okay.
actually, Vivek, in this case, we require to mention the type and index both, right?
Both.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
both are of type integer.
Yes. Right.
Correct, Janvi?
Yeah.
At certain point, only by mentioning the type, the problem will be get solved. If the combination is string, integer, and float. Correct?
So that time indexes matter.
Hello. Yeah, in that case, index will not matter because he will understand कि कौन सा किसके साथ map करना है विवेक.
Okay.
Index कब लगेगा जहां पे after mentioning the type also I am not understanding. Then in that case I have to use a combination of type and index. Guys, am I right or wrong? Please let me know.
Yes, right.
So once again, it depends on situation to situation. Can I say that?
Yes.
Yes, Mansi.
Janvi, over to you.
Yeah, here also we can consider, like, suppose, see, here are both the types of same, integer and integer. But for second parameter, I have to pass a negative value. So I'm not getting where should I pass. So with the help of index, I can mention that this is the second parameter where I have to pass negative value, and this is the first parameter where I have to pass positive value. So there also you can use indexing, means where you are confusing or conflict happening.
Correct.
Okay, so one more thing was there, like in a constructor, we created one was integer and one was double. So it was speaking as per the thing that we mentioned. But if there is a constructor of string, then by default it always pick the string constructor. Means it gives the priority to string constructor. So that also I wanted to mention. We will see that after running the code. If the type is not mentioned, now the type is mentioned, so it will give integer. If the type is not mentioned, by default it will pick the string constructor. So if you want to see, you can see that also. So this was the indexing example, and we'll see that type example also. suppose here both the type is not mentioned. So by default, it will consider string constructor as a type, and it should return the string as a constructor, the system statement. See, if you have not mentioned anything, it will consider string as your by default. I hope you got it. Mansi, you have any question? Means you got or?
No, I'm not having any questions, Jandavi.
Anyone?
No, I'm good, Sunny.
Okay. Guys, shall we proceed? Are you clear with
Yes.
the basic XML file and how we supply the configuration? This is what you can say a kind of added thing for those who have directly started working with the Spring Boot and like they were like not having the idea that how the XML configurations are there. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll go the next. So another next way of doing is setter injection. Again, in setter, you can do for primitive data types, you can do for referencing, and you can do for collection. The dependency injection you can do for collections, reference, that is the object that we are injecting into our bin, and primitive data types. So for these three things, we can do setter injections. So we'll see first the basic, that is for primitive data type, how we are doing. Again, this is the implementation of bin factory. If you are using bin factory, and this is the implementation of application context if you are using application context. I have shown, means I have defined both for just example or preparation, you can say. So for bin factory, you have to it is deprecated in the version I am using. So this is the way how you can use bin factory. You have to use XML bin factory class for that, and you have to provide the object of resource, and then you can print the bin that we are using. And this is the XML that we are looking currently. So Mansi, you want this also to be run, means with the help of bin factory?
No, actually, no need of that, to be very honest. We are using, means we can completely focus on the application context related thing.
Okay, fine. So I have just declared simple bin which have getter, setter, and toString method. If you see, I have not used any constructor here because we are using getter, we are using setter injections. So I have not declared any constructor. And if you want to see the config file, this is the XML file. Again, in this also, there are different way how you can declare your values in a property, like using a tag or using attribute, or there is one more way, that is a P schema you can use. This is the way how you have to write this P schema, P colon, and the name of your parameter that you are using with the value. So this is how you can declare P schema also. So these are the three way how you can declare the values. And to how, if you want multiple bin or multiple bin of same, if you want multiple object of same bin, then this is the way how you can create. You have to declare multiple bin like this. In bin tag, there's one bin with the name or ID, you can use anything, and this is the second bin to use it. Mansi, any question?
No, actually, I'm not having any question, Jannavi. Okay. Okay, guys, understand this particular scenario very simple. The logic is very simple. Jitne bean tag, utne bean instances. Right? So they are of same type or different type, it doesn't matter. Right? So if I'm having two bean tags which are dedicated to student bean, then there will be two student beans will be available. Correct, guys? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, that name attribute should be different. Otherwise, it will be
Yeah,
repeated being
name or
error.
ID attribute should be different. Okay, guys, maybe I require to require to just drop for some time because I'm receiving another call. So guys, Janavi, meanwhile, guys, you can continue. Okay.
Yes, Mansi.
Sure, Mansi.
So, guys, if you see, I have taken the getter methods because we are not using constructor and not the, so we will print it with the help of getter methods. So if I run it, you will get the object of both student 1 and student 2. This is the object of student 1, and this is with the help of toString method, how you will get, and this is with the help of getter method, how you will get. So these are the both objects I have printed. This is the first way, that is doing for primitive data types. If there are collections, then how we can implement that also we will see. In case of collection type, I have created one class, simple employee class. This will be simple primitive type. Then employee can have multiple phone numbers. He can have multiple address also, and there is a map of course, so that it will cover all the collections thing. That's why I take these three parameters. Course will have the name of course and the duration that course will be. By default, list uses array list, set uses link hash set, and map uses link hash map in a Spring. So the implementation of this in a XML configuration. So this is how we implement. We don't have any variations as such. This is for simple, that primitive data type we see already. Then for list, you have to use the list tag
So
and the values.
guys. So please observe, there is a tag, something called as property tag. So like with the constructor injection, we were like having a tag as constructor args. Here we are having a tag, something called as property. Correct? Janavi, you can continue.
Okay. So for list, we will be using list tag. For set, we have set, and for map, we have to use the entry tag, which where you have to specify key and value. So this is the basic implementation. You don't have any variation as such like schema, P schema, C schema, that we are not using anything here. So this is basic how you can use. And the properties of set and list, we are already aware that list allow duplicate and set don't. So I have used this duplicate also to show you how it will look like. So see, it is allowing duplicate. It has not taken because we were using set here. Here we are using list, and course it is giving key value pair as a Java 2 months Python. So this is how the collections we use for as a dependency injection, means in set injection, how collections can be used. Nancy, shall I proceed?
Yes, guys, are you clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So if I wanted to revise it in a simple words, in the bean, in the XML configuration, for bean creation, the tag which we use is bean. For the property injection, I use a tag something called as property, and for constructor injection, I use a tag called as constructor args. Right. Generally, with the constructor args, I require to follow the sequence which has been mentioned in the parameterized constructor. Right. Suppose due to some reason and because of some ambiguity, if you don't want to follow the sequence, right, then either you can go for index attribute or type attribute, or sometimes you require to use both of them. Right. Then in case of DI, that is nothing but the dependency injection, in my property tag and in my constructor arg, instead of using the attribute as a value, I'm going to use the attribute something called as ref. Correct?
Yes.
So for setter, if you are using injecting any other bin, so this is how we can declare using ref tag or ref as an attribute, or you can use a schema also there like this, memory, ref, and the name of reference. So these are the three way how you can do it.
Everyone is clear with this basic core part related to XML file, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
Janvi, I think so we can proceed now. Over to you.
Okay. Okay. So for method, for referencing, I don't have to explain anything, right? Means it is same as constructor, just the here declaration is little different.
Just one thing, Mansi, I guess you can answer. Like when to go with setter injection and constructor injection as per the requirement.
Generally, I will consider setter injection means actually when you are what you can say assigning a value. And constructor means I am initializing the value. So bean में आपको data initialization time you wanted to pass it, or you wanted to pass it after initialization and you wanted to assign the value at that scenario.
Okay.
Right, that is the basic difference, guys. Ki constructor will come into the picture only once.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but obviously here also we are going to do it means if I am following the XML, then value एक ही बार assign होगा for that particular bean tag, right? But once again, it depends on you. Means from XML point of view, actually it completely depends on you. Because output is going to be get same, but from sequence wise, if you are going to ask me when I'm using a setter injection also, internally the default constructor is going to be get called, and then the setter is going to come into the picture. Because when the setter methods are called, it is assigning, it is not initializing. Correct, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
And recommended, if I'm not mistaken, it's setter injections. Correct, guys? Or constructor?
Yeah, there is depends upon the situation. If there is a class and there are thousands of variables, so in that time, constructor is more better, because whenever you are using the setter and getter, so it will take more and more time, because you are providing setter and getters over there. So it will take more time as compared to this constructor. That is the one more point we need to add. So constructor is more preferable for if we are dealing with the larger amount of variables.
Okay. Okay. So guys, are you clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Janhavi, over to you for next concept.
Okay, so next is scopes. So we have 5 to 6 scopes: singleton, prototype, request, session, global session, and this thread and custom. So we will just see these two basics, that is singleton and prototype scope. Request session and these scopes we are using in HTTP request while performing any web application. There we can use this scope, but for now we will see singleton and prototype scope only. By default, there is a singleton scope, and if you want to mention, then we can specify with the scope attribute as an prototype scope. So I also have implementation for the same. So this is see how you can specify. There is a scope attribute you can use to specify the scope. And what that means is, if you are using singleton scope, every time whatever number of bin you will create, you will get the same instance. And if you are using prototype scope, every time you will get different instance. So that is difference between singleton and prototype scope. Mansi, you want to add something? So after
Yes,
that, I'll
yes,
run the
yes,
code.
yes. Actually, I wanted to add something. I would like to rephrase it in this particular way. Is like generally, whenever I'm going to give a call to get beans, right? If the singleton scope is going to be there, right? Then with every get bean call with the particular ID, right? The same instance will be get returned. Correct?
Yes, right.
Right, Janvi?
Yes, yes, Mansi.
Right. But if you are using a scope as a prototype, then with every get bean call, a different instance will be created. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, now one common question. This singleton scope and the singleton design pattern, it's same or different?
It's same.
Yes?
Yeah, both are same.
Okay. What is the singleton design pattern? Prashant, can you just tell me?
In singleton design pattern, okay, one JVM, okay, we are only creating one object for particular class.
And here?
Here, okay, let's say there is a car is on bean, okay, and by default it's a singleton only, okay, so it's only one creating one object only.
So here the object is per container, per Spring container, and in singleton design pattern, I think it is per JVM.
JVM, yeah.
So Prashant, they are same or different?
Yeah, they are different.
And one more important point, we have already seen this, that actually for car, I can have a 3 beans, which are creating a car instance only. So actually I can have a 3 car instances. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
क्योंकि जितने बीन उतने इंस्टेंस ना. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
And in singleton,
Mansi,
whatever could be the situation, instance एक ही रहेगा. That will referred by 3 references.
Mansi,
Am
one
I
question.
right, guys?
No, car you are asking singleton or prototype here? Line number.
Singleton.
No, in that
Yeah, it
case,
is.
the reference will be, oh, can you go to again demo class? No, if you are creating C1, C2, C1, C2 will be reference variable,
I'm
right? That
not
point.
talking about this particular thing, Prashant.
Mhm.
Guys, can you just hold out for a minute? We will continue with discussion. Jahnavi, just continue with the next part. I will come back to this. I require to attend one call.
Okay. So this we have already seen, guys, referencing how we can do with the help of ref keyword, and that all things is the same they have mentioned. Circular dependency is something a class, both two classes are dependent on each other. So that is circular dependency. I haven't done any implementation on that. If anybody have anything, they can share, please. But currently I don't have anything on this because I didn't get time search. So if anybody have anything, they can share. Guys, do you have anything? Okay, so I'm considering as no. We will go to the next part. Next part is auto wiring, like how we can do auto wire. There are two ways how we can auto wire. One is with the help of XML. Another, there is a way how we can auto wire is with the help of annotations. So we will see uh, both way of auto wiring, annotation and XML. In XML, there are different ways. By default, it is no. You can use name, by type, constructor, and auto detect. This auto detect is deprecated, so we are not using that. And we will see these three: by name, by type, and constructor. Consider I have employee class, and in that, this is the address bin I have injected. So to do the auto wiring for that, we have where config XML. So this is the example of basic auto wire by name. You have to specify auto wire as an attribute, and you have to mention what you are using by name, by type, constructor, anything that you're using that you have to specify. Sorry, anybody have any question? So this is how you can specify. So I have taken address. This is which will have street name and city name, and that I have injected here. That is in employee class with this. We are not using any annotation, anything here. So we'll see how we can done it in XML through XML. Also, now by type and by name that belongs to means that they work on setter. So when if they are working on setter, we will get this statement printed, and constructor. In case of constructor, we will get these statements printed because it is calling from constructor, and by type by name call from setter method. So in that case, this we will get this set address get called, and this will get printed. Okay, then so we will see first by type, by name. What by name means? Whatever name you have provided here, this name it consider. This name should be same as your bin name, what you are giving. So
okay, Janhavi,
yes.
instead of can we say that by name is going to be based on the reference which you have given, reference name and the ID name, या फिर name which you have mentioned in the bin type, correct?
Yeah, you can say
हाँ,
field name.
just I'm suggesting the usage of word as a reference.
Okay.
Okay, क्योंकि जावा में ऑब्जेक्ट का रेफरेंस होता है, नेम नहीं होता.
Sorry.
Okay,
Reference.
see, matlab
Yes.
you can have a feel I'm interrupting too much, but I want that please
No, that is
use
fine.
the proper technical words.
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Huh.
Okay, so the reference name should be same as when you are using by name. Sorry. So if you are giving correct name, you will get the, we will see how if we don't give correct name. And if I try to change this name in XML, if I try to change something else, it should throw error because this name is not same as a reference name. So it will not give me the output. It is giving none. It is not giving any output. Okay. Because the reference name was not correct. The second is by type. What by type means? Sorry.
Yes. Please continue, Janhavi.
So in by type, you have to specify in AutoWire tag as in by type, and consider these two name, address 1 and address 2 I have taken. And if you go here, this name, the reference name is address. So what it is looking for? It is looking for the name of bin that you are calling. That name means this bin type. This name should be same as this. No, it is. Sorry, I'm blank. It is taking from that. Even though you give any name here.
Janhavi, can I come into the picture? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so guys, by name means he is just going to check your reference with the bean ID या फिर bean name. That is by name, AutoWire. Agree?
Yes.
And by
Yes.
type means he is just going to check out the type of the bean. So in this example, I'm planning to AutoWire the address, right? So here I'm able to find the two beans which are of type address. Correct? So actually I'm having two beans which are of type address. Agree? So
Yes.
when I try to do it auto wire by type here, then there will be an error message. Correct, Jannavi?
Yes, ma'am. Here also
Huh.
we will get error because these both bin are of same type. So
No.
it
For
will
that we will not get an error. Jannavi, I am
yes,
100% sure. दो आप एक दो टाइप के सेम टाइप के मल्टीपल बीन बना सकते हो. इसके लिए 120% एरर नहीं आएगा. एरर आपको आएगा लाइन नंबर 28 के लिए. आर यू गेटिंग? चाहे तो आप
Okay.
करके देख लो. कमेंट लाइन नंबर 28 and just try to create the two address beans.
Yeah, in that case it will work. No, I was saying like here you will get error because it is finding by type and the type both have same type.
Yes. So he will get confused कि कौन सा bean inject करना है.
हाँ.
Yes, correct. Sorry, I misinterpreted it. Sorry. Okay. So I think so before you proceed, let's finish out the discussion for the singleton scope and singleton design pattern. I think so, Prashant, with this example, as you can see, I'm having two address beans. Correct?
Yes.
हाँ, तो ये सिंगलटन है क्या? ये सिंगलटन डिजाइन पैटर्न है क्या?
नहीं मैं क्या बोल रहा था C1 एंड
हाँ.
C2 जो है ना दे बोथ आर पॉइंटिंग टू सेम ऑब्जेक्ट बट देयर रेफरेंस अवेलेबल डिफरेंट.
हाँ, पर हम उस कंटेक्स्ट में बात ही नहीं कर रहे थे ना.
हाँ नहीं मैं वो बोल रहा था कि C1 C2 जो
हाँ.
दो रेफरेंस वेरिएबल है ना ओके their reference variable are different okay in stack but they are pointing to only one object that I mean.
If my scope is singleton.
Yes yeah correct yeah.
हाँ.
और दोनों का हैश कोड भी सेम रहेगा.
Exactly. But technically from container wise or from JVM behavior wise, if I wanted to check out, then with the singleton design pattern per JVM, there will be one instance. And here singleton scope is associated to per container.
Correct yeah.
Correct? And in one container, I can have a multiple objects which are of same type. मतलब एम्प्लॉय के तीन ऑब्जेक्ट्स एग्जिस्टेंस में रह सकते हैं विद इन वन कंटेनर. करेक्ट?
Yes.
हाँ, पर अगर मैं सिंगलटन डिजाइन पैटर्न यूज करती हूँ गाइस, तो क्या होगा? इन द एंटायर JVM देयर विल बी ओनली वन इंस्टेंस ना. एम आई राइट गाइस? आर यू गेटिंग व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से? हाँ ना, कुछ तो बोलिए.
Yes, Mansi.
Right, so basically singleton scope and singleton design pattern, they are not same, they
It's
are
different.
different. And
Yeah.
one more point, in my one Spring Boot application, I can have a multiple container instances. Yes or no? मैं जितने चाहूँ कंटेनर बना सकती हूँ ना.
Yes.
ठीक है. Okay, Janavi, please continue.
So you want me to run this code? We can see. For this, there was singleton scope. So it is printing same hash code. And here we used prototype. So it has print different hash code. Okay, so the next after by type we have constructor. So if we are using AutoWired as a type constructor, then you have to mention this AutoWired as a constructor, and in that case your constructor will get called and this thing will execute and not setter thing will execute. Let me comment it out. In this also, it will refer this name address, means this bin will executed, not this one. If you want to see, we can see that also. So it is calling from constructor and whatever details were there, it has printed from constructor address. So this is auto wiring by with the help of XML. And now we'll see with the help of annotation also. So same example I have taken and I have just auto wired it. We have not mentioned any what you can say XML configuration in that. We have just declare a bin for address that we are calling in an employee class. See, for this employee, there is no implementation, no auto-wired attribute is also there. Just the bin for address class is declared. And if we are using any annotation, we have to use this tag context annotation config to tell Spring Container that we are using that annotation. Mansi, you want to add something or shall I run code?
Yes. I wanted to add one point. Actually, this code or this particular tag I require to use whenever I'm having a combination of XML plus annotation. Okay. जब भी XML and annotation का combination रहता है, then and only then this tag is supposed to be get added. That's it. If you are going for pure XML, everything is mentioned with the help of pure XML, then no need to add it. But anywhere in the code, if you are using any annotations, right? Generally auto wire या फिर ऐसा कुछ annotation अगर if you are using it, then this should be get added. Yes, Janvi, you can run the code now.
So see guys, we have just added one annotation that is auto-wired and that has removed from here. The tag is the attribute has removed from here and it is just annotated here. So that is the only difference between annotation when you are using by annotation and using XML.
And guys, one more point, whenever I'm using annotation at the rate auto-wired annotation, internally it is by type or by name here. What is it?
By name.
It's by type, always. Because simple logic with at the rate auto-wired, have you mentioned any name?
No, we are just referring. We are just creating reference.
So obviously it is by type. At the rate auto-wired annotation always internally uses by type.
Yeah, see here, I have used address and means a reference as an address name. And if you see here, I am giving address one, so that didn't affect anything. So it is using by type.
Okay.
Because in case of by name, if multiple annotations or if the multiple address instances are present, code compile ही नहीं होगा. Because for by type, basic rule is that for the particular type, only one annotation should be there. Correct?
Correct.
And by type ke liye, if the multiple annotations are there, that will be fine because I'm considering it on the basis of reference name, na? So.
Also, there is one more thing, like if you are using annotation, you cannot use that annotation on primitive types. It should be on object only. So that is also one difference. If you are using annotation, it should be on primitive types only.
It is on user-defined objects only.
Yeah.
Because DI, that is dependency injection, that concept is associated where my one bean is containing another bean. Right? That's why this is associated to the object only.
Hello, Mansi, your voice is. Hello.
Okay. So guys, if you have observed the XML and annotation use, then I think so whatever you have seen with the XML, the same thing can be easily replaced by the annotation. Means instead of having a bean tag, I can use @component. Correct, guys?
Yes.
On the class level.
Right.
Right? Instead of using a bean tag with the combination of dependency injection, right, with AutoWire concept, instead of using AutoWire attribute, I will use annotation @AutoWired. Correct?
Correct.
I hope you are clear with this particular link now.
Yes. Yes.
Janavi, over to you.
Yeah. So the next thing that we will see is AutoWire by name that we have covered already. Disadvantage, as I said, there are some disadvantage also of using auto wiring, because it works on only object, not on primitive data type. So that is one disadvantage of using auto wiring. Also, as it is saying, it has some confusing nature and partial wiring is not possible. So these are some disadvantage of using auto wiring over So we'll start with different annotations that we have. So I have implemented some of them. I'll show you what is the use of that and where we are using them. First, we will see qualifier. Like you, just before we see, there was two bin and it was giving conflict, like which bin we should call based on type. So there we use qualifier annotation. Consider there's one example. I have bank detail and in that I have called account detail. It just have account number and bank have bank detail. So suppose suppose I have two bin. Like I said, these are two different instances of the bin given to different name. So which bin should I call? For that, we are using qualifier annotation. Whatever mentioned in a qualifier annotation, that bin we will call, that instance we will call. Here I have mentioned account detail 1, so it will call this bin with this value, with these properties. If you give this name, it will call that name. So there we use qualifier annotation. Mansi, you want to add anything?
No.
Okay, so we will run it once just for demo purpose. See it is giving account number 1, 2, 3, 4 because this reference was mentioned, this bin name was mentioned, so it is giving me this. If I change it to this here, so it will give me the second one. The account number has changed to the next one, whatever name we have mentioned. So there we use qualifier annotation. Then the next annotation is value annotation. there are different way how you can implement value annotation. I have taken again one more example of this is the class color. I will print the color name. So to use value annotation, one thing how you can declare the values is you can use property file also. You can mention your name parameter there and the value that you have to mention. And this property file you have to inject or you have to call in the XML. Just a minute. So this is the implementation where you call property tag you have to give and the path of properties you have to mention. I have taken color.properties. I have mentioned that file name, property file name. You just have one property. This property name, color name, it should be same like what parameters you have given. Okay. In this way also you will get output. Then second way is if you don't want to mention property file, you can use this @value annotation directly and you can mention value here directly. So this is second way how you can do. Third way is if you don't want to mention value directly, you can use this. You can directly call that property name here and you don't have to specify this in the XML like we have did. You don't have to do this. You can directly call like this with the help of @value attribute. So these are the three ways how you can call the values with the help of @value annotation. Mansi, anything you want to add?
So guys, can I say @qualifier with the help of combination or @qualifier with the combination of @AutoWire will exactly act like by name? Okay, I will repeat the question. With the AutoWire by name, whatever effect we are able to see that if I am having multiple beans of same type, right? And I wanted to have auto wiring on the basis of their name, right? Same effect I can get it with the combination of @AutoWire plus qualifier. Yes, no.
Yes, Mansi, I think yes,
Yes.
because we are providing the name.
Yes, because
Because in
whatever
this
name
case
we
we
are
are
mentioning with the qualifier, that bean will come into the picture, correct?
yes. Exact
Okay.
reference will be referred. So it
Yeah,
will be
that
act as
reference
by
will
name.
be get
Yeah.
referred. Correct. One more question. Can I use a @qualifier independently without using @AutoWire? Can I do that?
No, I think no.
So one more important point. If you require to use @qualifier, then it should be accompanied with @AutoWire. Correct? And one more annotation, I think so we have seen that is @value annotation. Correct, Jannavi?
Yes.
Which is used to assign the value, correct?
Yes.
To a particular bean. Yes, I think so, Jannavi, we can proceed now.
Okay. So this was value annotation and then we will see primary annotation board, how we are using that. So there are two ways how you can use primary annotation. I'll show both the way. First way, what I have done is I have taken an example of this. One interface I have taken and it have two ways, like you can pay online or you can pay offline, means cash you can pay. So by default, what will be the what thing you want? So on that I have used primary as an annotation. That primary I want the payment should be offline, that is cash. So see here I have used annotation primary. Now Here I have not used any XML configuration. Like I said, like Mansi said, we are using component because we don't want to declare bin in XML. So I'm directly using component. So here there's no any XML configuration as such we are using. So primary annotation is when you want, if you have two ways of doing some things and you want one things to be primary, in that case, or default, you can say there you can use primary annotation. Mansi, you want to add something, or I can directly run code?
No, actually you can run the code so they can able to see the output, and then the further things can be get discussed.
Okay. So see here I have used primary annotation, so it will give me default payment as a pay cash. Cash will be the default payment because I have used here primary annotation. If you change it and use it in online payment, it will give me online as a default payment. So that was the use of primary annotation only.
Okay. So one more point, guys, if you can check out, the primary annotation was used on the class level, correct?
Yes.
And qualifier we use it on field.
Setter or
On
whatever.
setter also, but not on
Setter,
class level,
fields,
correct?
constructor.
Yes.
What is the other way, Sandeep, which you are going to show?
Yeah, so one more way is like without declaring, if you don't want to declare a class like bin class, and you can use their in configuration also like this, and there also you can declare a primary as an annotation. See, I have declared a bin, and above bin also you can use primary as an annotation. So here we can see components can also, configuration also. If you are not using XML, you can use configuration. So this is the next way of using configuration. And here also you can use primary annotation. Means if you don't want to use or create the class, this is also the way you can use.
No. Wait, create the class means what? I didn't understand.
Like here I'm creating one bin, right? One class I'm creating. If you see this example, I have not created any class or anything.
Wait. First, in that scenario, for more discussion, first we require to have a discussion about what is the use of @bean. So can you first please cover that particular point? @bean annotation.
Yes, Mansi. So I think what I know is if you are using any configuration class, or if you are declaring any class as in configuration, there you can declare, and if you want to use any bin, there you can use @bin annotation, right? This is only I know.
No. Please try to understand, guys. First of all, whenever I'm using a @bean annotation, I'm using it on the top of some method. And if you see it very closely, that method actually creating some instance. Yes or no? So here you are telling him to create the instance of animal. So here the animal instance is not created by the container. It is created by you.
You. Yes.
Right? And now you want that particular bean which you have created should be get managed by the container. Then you are going to annotate it with @bean annotation. Guys, are you understanding what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Mansi, I have one question. Like
Yes.
very initial, someone was asking how we can create with new keyword. So can we relate that thing here?
Yes. Actually, it is the next step of that answer. कि suppose अगर मैंने मेरा bean बनाया है, right? So he was like asking कि if I have created my own bean, right? Container is not creating it. तो हमने क्या बोला था कि नहीं, अगर आपने अपना खुद का bean बनाया है तो container will not manage him, right? But suppose you want कि container should manage my bean, then I have to use a method which is generating that particular bean, right? So I will write down the logic for the bean creation. right? And I will annotate it with @bean. So in short, what I am telling a container कि please मेरे bean को भी अपना बच्चा समझ के संभाल लो. Are you getting, guys?
Yes.
We generally say this, na? Means in case of, let's say, in case of generally in case of marriages, right? Nowadays, suppose if the bride is going to be live with the groom's place, then generally bride's mother and father said कि अपनी बच्ची समझ के संभाल लीजिए, right? Because she is coming from some other production house. Okay, so we request them to treat her like your own daughter, right? And if some groom is going to stay with his father-in-law or mother-in-law, if he is going to be what you can say घर जमाई, then maybe लड़के के मम्मी पापा बोलेंगे हमारे बेटे को संभाल लीजिए. Yes or no, guys?
Yes.
Right? Please don't give this example into the interviewer. Okay? This is just for your reference and understanding. Generally, with the @configuration class, we use this particular class because I wanted to provide some other configuration. Just like, for example, suppose with the Spring, if you are using a Hibernate, and with Hibernate, I require to create a session factory and session object, right? Then generally that session factory and session object creation, we do it under the configuration. Correct, guys?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
So in short, we are creating some instances which are actually not the part of my Spring framework, but those instances are supposed to be get used by Spring framework now. So basically session factory and session are the Hibernate objects. But हम बोल रहे हैं कि okay वो Hibernate objects है पर please Spring container उसको अपने objects समझ के manage कर लो. Correct, guys?
Right. Yes.
Right, that's why we write it generally under the configuration class and we provide the method, and in that method we create those instances. And then after creation, we use @bean annotation and we request ki ha baba, please consider these objects are also as your bean and please manage them. Understood?
Yes.
So are you clear with the difference between @component and @bean now? Whenever @component, that is stereotype annotation, whenever it is coming into the picture, I am instructing the container ki okay, please create the bean for this particular class. So the class which is annotated as @component, @repository, @service, and @controller, right? These four are the stereotype annotations. And whenever you are using these stereotype annotations on the top of the class, you are instructing the container कि please इसका instance बना दो. Means that is equivalent to @bean tag. Correct, guys?
Yes.
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 Right? And when I'm using @bean, means the instance is created by me, and now I'm requesting the container कि please manage this instance as your own bean. Clear?
Yes.
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 @bean is used on the top of the method. ये method level annotation है. @bean strictly. Okay, you cannot write down @bean on the top of the class. But @component, @repository, @service, and @controller, they are class level annotations.
Class level.
Yes. Right.
Right? Qualifier is a field level या फिर method level, मतलब setter and constructor level annotation है वो. But qualifier cannot be get used on the top of the class. Correct?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And @primary can be get used on the top of the class also, and it can be get used with the combination of @bean annotation, right? So the whatever bean is created, that bean is now having a primary status. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So one of the favorite interview questions: what is the difference between @component and @bean? What is the difference between @qualifier and @primary? Because output wise इनका output same ही आता है. Yes or no?
Yes.
So you should able to understand the differences. Okay, guys.
Yes.
Jahnavi, anything you wanted to add?
No, I just wanted to tell, like, we were using XML configuration, that we were using class path XML application context class, and now we are using annotation base. So we are using annotation config application context, where you have to provide configuration class name.
Yeah, correct. With the dot class extension.
With the dot class extension. Right.
Correct.
So then I will run this also, and so say the default, the primary was on lion bean, so it is giving the output like this. If you want to see the code, I have just called this print method and the default implementation of animal. Yeah, Mansi, I'm done with the annotation. Just one thing is pending, like life cycle. So I have
actually life cycle, we didn't discuss that much because the main part is generally with the annotations which are used. I think so only one annotation is remaining, that is @lazy.
Yeah, that I haven't covered because I didn't
Yes.
get time actually, so I haven't covered.
Yeah, no issues. So by the way, there is one more annotation, something called as @lazy annotation, and the purpose of @lazy annotation is generally what happens that if I'm using the application context, right, before there is a request for that particular bean, it is already created. Yes or no? Because it is eager, right? But suppose if you want a particular annotation should be get created whenever there is a request, means you are using application context which is by default having a nature as eager, right? Eager loading, right? So suppose in that scenario also, from 4 annotations which are going to be eagerly get created, 5th annotation you want it should be get created whenever there is a requirement only, right? In that scenario you can annotate it with @lazy. You can use it on the class, it can be get used on a class level also. So whenever you are using @lazy, whenever there is a requirement for this particular file processor instance, then and only then means it will be get created. So it represents nothing but the lazy loading part. Correct? Guys, are you clear? Right. So generally, guys, this is the agenda for our technical discussion. So basically, the main purpose of this particular technical discussion is that many times what happens that the candidates has directly started working with the Spring Boot. They didn't get a chance to have exposure on the Spring Core, but the Spring Core knowledge is also very much important from the understanding point of view. That's why this particular one session related to Spring Core and the important annotations has been introduced. So I hope this was helpful, guys.
Yes.
Yes.
It was very much
Yes,
helpful.
Mansi.
Right. So actually this will help you out to think how Spring Boot works, to be very honest, or how the framework works. Okay, or behind the back what he is doing, that you can now understand or see. That is the advantage of this particular thing. Then there are some questions which are generally asked. I'm giving those questions as a homework. Here, guys, you have seen one XML file creation. Right now, the question which is asked basically, can I have a configuration with the help of multiple XML files? मतलब एक XML फाइल की जगह पे can I have a multiple XML files? Guys, what do you think? Is it valid or not valid?
multiple XML files, you can also use it because for other configuration like Hibernate, you can also do it by XML. So you can also configure.
Okay, so
You're talking
multiple
about that,
XML
Mansi?
files are valid. Okay, correct,
Yes.
correct. Now, suppose if I'm having a multiple XML files and in 2 XML files, the same bean is configured with the same ID. मतलब a.xml में भी employee bean configure किया है with the employee ID as E and in the b.xml one more employee bean is configured with the bean tag with the ID as E. And if I'm using both the XML files, then what will happen, guys? There will be an error or there will be no error?
Bin duplication error.
What do you think? Are you understanding the question, guys?
I think no, bin definition exception is there, I think.
Okay. So who is going to check out this and put the message in our chat box? So I want you to implement this particular thing. Right? Why I'm giving it as a homework? Because I want that you should create the multiple XML files, try to access the multiple XML files in using application context and do the permutation combinations, means creation of multiple beans with the same ID or creation of multiple beans with the different IDs and check out कि सारे beans load होते हैं या नहीं होते हैं, right? All these kind of things I want you to do it. Okay? So I'm going to check who is going to give me the answer for this particular question in our chat box first. Okay. Okay. So I hope this session was helpful. Janavi, thank you very much for presenting this particular topic so beautifully. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this.